She was born into one of Abuja's most powerful families. She married into another. On paper, her life was everything. A beautiful home in Maitama, a daughter, a future people envied from the outside. Then, on the night of November 18, 2017, her husband bled to death on the floor of their home, stabbed multiple times. She was arrested. She was tried. She was sentenced to die by hanging. And for years, that sentence held until the president of Nigeria personally intervened and set her free. And then, in one of the most extraordinary legal reversals this country has ever witnessed, the Supreme Court looked at that decision and said no. She goes back to death row. But here's what most people still don't know. What actually happened inside that house the night Bilyaminu Bello died? Because once you understand that, the pardon, the outrage, all of it starts to make a very different kind of sense. Stay with me. There's a version of Abuja that most Nigerians never see. Not the gridlocked roads, not the pepper soup joints, not the civil servants shuffling files. A different Abuja. The one behind the high gates and well-watered lawns of Maitama, where power doesn't announce itself. It just lives there, quietly, expensively. This is where our story begins. Two families, both elite, both connected, both navigating the quiet competition of who your people are, who your father is, what your mother runs. On one side, Maryam Sanda. She was born in 1988, the daughter of Haliru, a former permanent secretary inside the Aso Rock presidential villa itself, the nerve center of Nigerian power. Her mother, Haliru, was an executive at Aso Savings and Loans. Maryam didn't grow up watching power from a distance. She grew up inside it. She was educated, poised, the kind of woman people in those circles assume will always land on her feet. On the other side, Bilyaminu Bello. His story is more complicated and more human than his family connections suggest. He was born in 1981. His mother died shortly after giving birth to him. His biological father, a retired storekeeper from Sokoto, walked away and never returned, never attended a school event, never came to either of Bilyaminu's two weddings, never met the grandchildren. Bilyaminu was raised first by his grandmother, and then taken in by his uncle, Dr. Bello Haliru Mohammed, former Minister of Communications, former national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, the largest political party in Nigeria's history. That uncle didn't just give Bilyaminu a name, he gave him an identity, a life inside Abuja's highest circles. These two people met, and by 2015, they were married. It was the kind of union that made sense on paper. Two elite Abuja families, a wedding that was celebrated in the right circles, a home in Maitama, a daughter born in early 2017. From the outside, it was everything. But appearances don't argue. They don't slam doors. They don't pick up weapons. Real life does. And inside that home in Maitama, real life had been building for a long time. The arguments didn't start violent. They never do. At first, it was tone. Short answers where full sentences used to live, silences that stretched too long, questions that sounded casual but weren't. Where were you? Who was that? Why didn't you answer? Normal questions, until they're not. Then came the phone. In 2017, Maryam found something on Bilyaminu's phone. Messages, photos, evidence, real or perceived, of infidelity. Whether the suspicion was entirely founded or not almost doesn't matter at this point in the story, because once that kind of doubt enters a marriage, it doesn't sit quietly. It rewrites everything. A late reply becomes disrespect. A smile in the wrong direction becomes evidence. Silence becomes guilt. Inside Maryam, something was shifting, not all at once, but gradually, steadily. Emotion began overriding reason. Interpretation replaced trust, and every small thing began to feel like proof of something unforgivable. Bilyaminu, by nature, was reserved. Not the kind of man that matches escalation with escalation. He would pull back, go quiet, which to someone already in a spiral of suspicion felt like confirmation. One person pushing, one person withdrawing. Not balance, pressure. Days became patterns, patterns became cycles, arguments with no resolution, temporary calmness that never quite reset, then back again, heavier each time. The most dangerous phase of any relationship is not when people are fighting, it's when they've stopped fixing. Unresolved emotion doesn't disappear, it stores, compresses, waits, until one moment carries the weight of every moment before it. That moment was coming. Neither of them knew how close. The night didn't arrive as a catastrophe. It arrived like any Saturday night. But by 9 p.m., the tension inside the Maitama home had reached breaking point. A witness was present, Mohammed, one of Bilyaminu's closest friends. What he later told police in the court paints a picture that is difficult to read. Maryam demanded a divorce, not quietly, with a threat to mutilate her husband. Then she grabbed a knife. Ibrahim intervened. 4 times he physically stopped her. She broke a bottle of groundnut oil and tried again. Bilyaminu struggled to take it from her, cutting himself in the process. She bit his finger, hard. His uncle, Auta, was eventually called to the house. By the time he arrived, both Maryam and Bilyaminu committed to letting it go for the night. After it calmed, Bilyaminu and Ibrahim went to a pharmacy to treat the bites on his hand. They went to an ATM to withdraw money to pay for repairs on Maryam's car, a car she had crashed. Even after everything that had just happened, he was still doing that. Before they returned home around 11 p.m., Bilyaminu told his friends something that now reads like a quiet farewell. "I don't want to go back until she's asleep." Ibrahim left around midnight. Bilyaminu's cousin, Abba, left too. The house went quiet. Nobody knows exactly what happened in the hours that followed. Only one person was there. At around 2 a.m. on November 19, 2017, family members received urgent calls to come to Maitama Hospital. They found Bilyaminu lying in a pool of his own blood. Multiple stab wounds to his chest, his shoulder, a deep cut in his inner thigh. Injuries that told a story of something prolonged, not a single moment of panic. Doctors would later confirm that a stab wound to the heart was fatal. He was rejected by 2 hospitals before he was finally pronounced dead. Maryam's first account, the one she gave at the hospital, was that she had stabbed him. By the time she was at the police station writing her formal statement, the story had changed. She now said he had pushed her to the floor during an argument, that he had fallen, accidentally, onto a broken shisha pot, that she had never stabbed him at all. But when police visited the crime scene, something was wrong. The bloodstains had been mopped. The weapon, the murder weapon, was gone. Flower vases and a shisha pot had been broken and arranged as if to support the new version of events. CCTV footage later recovered showed Maryam and 3 private security guards loading Bilyaminu into a vehicle. The cover-up had begun before the sun came up. By morning, the story was out, not just in Abuja, everywhere. Young wife stabs husband to death in Maitama. Son of PDP chairman murdered by wife. WhatsApp broadcasts, Twitter threads, radio call-ins, arguments in offices and in markets. Everyone had a version. Everyone had a verdict. Some said she must have been pushed to her limit. Others said nothing justifies this. And underneath it all, a question Nigeria has asked too many times before. Will money and connections protect her? Because this wasn't just any case. This was 2 of Abuja's most elite families. And in Nigeria, people have watched powerful people walk away from things that ordinary people go to prison for, sometimes for life, sometimes worse. So the country didn't just watch this case. It held the system accountable for how it handled it. The trial began on November 23, 2017, 4 days after Bilyaminu's death. It would take over 2 years to reach a verdict. 2 years of adjournments and delays,
unavailable witnesses, legal arguments, the slow machinery of a court system under enormous public scrutiny. 6 witnesses took the stand. A pathologist confirmed the cause of death was a stab wound to the heart. Messages were presented, messages showing prior threats from Maryam. Mohammed described what he had witnessed hours before the killing in precise, damning detail. A police officer, Simon Okan, testified about arriving at a scene that had already been interfered with, the blood mopped, the weapon missing. The prosecution leaned on the last scene rule. Maryam was the last person with Bilyaminu alive. The forensics pointed to her. The original confession pointed to her. The defense argued self-defense, accident, that the shisha pot story was the truth. The court disagreed. On January 27, 2020,
Justice Yusuf Halilu of the FCT High Court delivered his verdict. Guilty. Not of accident, not of manslaughter in the heat of passion. Guilty of culpable homicide. Intentional. Premeditated. The sentence: death by hanging. Justice Halilu quoted 2 words in his closing: "Thou shalt not kill." Maryam Sanda was transferred to the Suleja Medium Security Custodial Center, where she would remain. She appealed. In December 2020, the Court of Appeal upheld the conviction. She appealed again. In October 2023, the Supreme Court of Nigeria, the highest court in the land, affirmed the ruling. Every legal door had been tried. Every door had closed. For the family of Bilyaminu Bello, the man who was raised by the love of one family after being abandoned by another, there was something that felt like finality. Painful, but final. October 11, 2025. 8 years after Bilyaminu's death. President Bola Tinubu released a list, 175 names. Inmates across Nigeria being granted presidential clemency, pardons, reductions, releases. And buried in that list, almost quietly, was a name that was anything but quiet: Maryam Sanda. Her death sentence had been commuted to 12 years in prison, with time already served factored in. The stated reason? Compassion. Her conduct in detention had been good. She had learned skills. And, most prominently, her 2 children needed their mother. 2 children. The daughter born in early 2017, just months before the killing, and a son born on August 7, 2018, while Maryam was already in custody awaiting trial. The reaction was not quiet. That Maryam Sanda pardon really drives home when Nigerians say, "Na who die, lose," one user posted. A case of premeditated murder should never have been considered for pardon. This is pure injustice. Another. In this country, please don't let anyone kill you. They will walk free. But the reaction that cut deepest came not from social media. It came from the family of Bilyaminu Bello. In a formal statement signed by Dr. Bello Haliru Mohammed, the uncle who had raised Bilyaminu from infancy, who had given him everything, the family said the pardon had reopened our healing wounds and inflicted the worst possible injustice. They noted, pointedly, that the same children now being used to justify Maryam's release were the children Maryam had denied the opportunity to know their father. She, they implied, had made them fatherless, and now their fatherlessness was being used to free her. The family said they believed the pardon was driven primarily by pressure from Maryam's own powerful family, not by justice, not by principle. Then something else happened. Something that made the whole situation even stranger. A man appeared at a press conference in Abuja, Alhaji Ahmed Bello Isa, claiming to be Bilyaminu's biological father. He sat next to Maryam's father. He said he supported the pardon, that he wanted her free to raise his grandchildren. The family pointed out this man had been absent for 44 years. He had never attended either of Bilyaminu's weddings. He had never met the grandchildren,
He had never appeared during the years of court proceedings. He appeared the first time, gaunt, poverty-stricken, at a press conference organized by Maryam's family to endorse her release. The family called it exactly what it looked like. The Bello family did not accept the pardon quietly. They went back to court. The legal question was precise and important. Can the president of Nigeria grant clemency to someone while their case is still technically alive within the judicial system? Because the answer to that question didn't just affect Maryam Sanda, it affected every future case, every future pardon, every future moment where executive power might reach into the courts and redirect justice. December 12, 2025. The Supreme Court of Nigeria delivered its ruling. 4-1. The presidential pardon was invalid. The executive arm had acted too soon. The case was still within the judicial process. That meant it was not yet the president's place to intervene. The court dismissed Maryam's appeal as lacking merit. The prosecution, it affirmed, had proven its case beyond reasonable doubt. And then, with the clarity that only the highest court can provide, the original sentence was restored. Death by hanging. The 12-year term erased. The pardon canceled. The mercy undone. In one ruling, the court sent a message that echoed far beyond this one case. Power has limits, even presidential power, even in Nigeria. And when those limits are crossed, the system has a mechanism to pull it back. As of today, Maryam Sanda remains in the Suleja Custodial Center. Not under a reduced sentence, not under mercy, under the original judgment of the highest court in the land. Death by hanging. For the family of Bilyaminu Bello, the man who lost his mother as an infant, was abandoned by his father, raised by his uncle's love, and built a life in Abuja before it was taken from him on a November night. There is no verdict that brings him back. No ruling reverses absence. Justice, when it comes, does not heal grief. It only acknowledges it. This case will be studied and referenced for years to come, not just as a story about a marriage that broke, but as a case that tested the boundaries of power, the meaning of mercy, and whether the Nigerian justice system can hold its line when wealth and influence push back. It bent, but it did not break. And that is either a triumph or a warning, depending on which side of that line you're standing on. 3 things stay with me when I think about this story. The first, moments are irreversible. That night was not long, but it was long enough. Bilyaminu told his friend he didn't want to go back inside until she was asleep. He went back anyway. Seconds, not hours, is all it takes for everything to change. The second, power has a ceiling, even in Nigeria. For a brief moment, it looked like influence would once again bend an outcome. The president signed. The gates opened. But the court existed for exactly this moment, and it acted. The third, grief doesn't respect timelines. The Bello family has had to relive this case over and over through every appeal, every reversal, every press conference staged by the other side. That is its own kind of sentence, one no court can commute. Now I want to ask you directly, do you think the president was wrong to intervene? Or do you believe there are cases where mercy and justice can genuinely coexist? Because I don't think there's one clean answer, and I think that's the point. Tell me what you think in the comments. This conversation matters. And if this story made you think, or made someone you know think, share it. The cases that don't get discussed enough are the ones that tend to repeat themselves.